Hello there. Good to have your company again this morning. We are moving through 1 Corinthians 15 with great deliberation because it's such a rich chapter. We've reached verse 29, which highlights something that obviously Paul had come to know about, a practice that was going on in the Corinthian church, and he's using it as an argument for logic, because he was answering the question, what if there is no resurrection? Jesus hasn't come back again. How can we believe everything else that you've told us about the resurrection? And so he's spent time reminding them of the various occurrences of appearances of Jesus. He missed out some of them, actually, didn't he? He missed out the Road to Emmaus experience and the appearances to the women. He missed out quite a few of the ones that we know about, that are written about in the Gospels, and added some more. So there's a lot that is not recorded of what happened between when Jesus rose from the dead and when he ascended into heaven. But he can't see their logic, and they were practicing this. What do people mean by being baptized on behalf of the dead? I think this. It seems that what they were doing was, people had died before they could be baptized, and they had absorbed. Much of the teaching was believe and be baptized, go into all the world, make disciples and baptize them, and they had this idea that unless someone was baptized, they wouldn't be safe eternally, that it was an essential ingredient. Now, it is an important ingredient in our lives that we should be baptized, that we should end our old life and begin our new life. But what if you died before you could be baptized? If they weren't going to be raised from the dead, it didn't really matter, did it, whether they were baptized or not? So why would you, if you didn't believe in the resurrection, why would you bother to be baptized in their place? Now, we do have times when things are done in proxy. People stand in the stead of a sick person at home and are prayed for. But we can't do that for the dead. That is not something we should do. He says your logic doesn't add up, because if you don't believe in the resurrection, as you said in your letter, why are you being baptized to help ensure the security of those who have died? And if the resurrection hasn't happened, then why am I going through all the persecution I'm going through? What is the point of it? I might just as well live my life for myself if there is no eternal future. Let's just behave as if that's what you believe, but you don't seem to believe that because you're baptizing people on behalf of the dead. So you seem to believe in the resurrection, but anyway, it's a twisted argument. If we don't believe in the resurrection of the dead, there is really no point in following Jesus during our lifetime here, because we'll have wasted the only opportunity we have to do what we please and to get drunk and eat, drink. But he turns his argument round again, verse 33. Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals. Bad company ruins good morals. I think that must have been a local phrase, because it's not a biblical phrase. But it's a very wise one. The company we keep ruins our morals. If we keep bad company, we will be led into all sorts of bad things. And he says in verse 34, come to your right mind and sin no more. For some have no knowledge of God, I say this to your shame. He's just... So, what do we take from these verses? The fact that if we believe there is resurrection from the dead, and we believe that absolutely, then we must live our lives as if that was going to happen. We must live our lives as if that is going to happen. And we must have an attitude to death that says death is but falling asleep. Not the attitude that the world has, that death is a disaster, that death is a terrible tragedy, that death is incredibly sad. Of course we miss those that we've loved who have gone to sleep. Of course we've loved them and we miss them. But we mustn't behave as if death is the worst thing that can ever happen to anybody. Because it's not. I'm going to tell you two very short stories. We should be excited about the prospect of passing from this life into the next. Paul was excited. Paul longed. He didn't know whether he wanted to stay or he wanted to go to be with the Lord. He yearned for his home with the Lord so much. For me to die, to live is Christ, to die is gain. Not loss, gain. Something to look forward to. I remember one story of one elderly lady who she'd loved the Lord all her life. She was getting very frail, and they decided it was best for her to go to a nursing home. And we all know what happens when you go to a nursing home. You come out in a box. And when she was told, they were a bit worried about what her reaction would be, and she said, "Oh, how wonderful! I'm going to the launch pad." Ah, what a wonderful attitude. And I met a lady in the hospice once. The doctors asked me to go and see her because they'd been trying to help her to prepare for her death. She only had weeks left, and she came before Christmas, late November, and they didn't expect her to live till Christmas. And they said that they were a bit worried about her because she seemed happy at what they said. And they were a bit worried that she didn't really understand what they were trying to say to her. And I went to see her, and I said, "I've come to talk to you about the fact that you haven't got very long. Do you realise that?" She said, "Oh yes, and I'm so excited." And she explained to me, she wasn't a churchgoer at all, but she said to me, "Since I was a little child, I've had this best friend, and I talk to him every day. I share my problem. He's been with me through all the difficulties and wonderful things of my life. He's my best friend." Now, if you had a best friend who lived in Australia and you'd never seen their face, you'd never seen them, you just corresponded, you just talked on the telephone, and you knew that you were going to go and see them, and you were packing to get ready to go, wouldn't you get excited at the thought of getting on that airplane and going and finally meeting that person face to face? Wouldn't you be excited? And she was genuinely excited at the prospect of meeting Jesus. And she was a real blessing to so many people. She when she was able, she sat in the corridors and she talked to anyone who would listen about the wonderful prospect of meeting Jesus face to face. That's our prospect, to meet him face to face. How wonderful. The resurrection from the dead is such a precious thing, such an important thing. Have a great day. Tomorrow will be another Sunday, time for fellowship and getting together. God bless you. Have a great day. Bye.